Do you know what is Asian financial crisis? Asian financial crisis is the major global financial crisis that affected the Asian economy and the world economy at the end of the 1990s. Asian financial crisis happened between June 1997 and January 1998. The location of these crises are in the Asia and East Asia. There are several countries involved in this financial crisis, such as Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Hong Kong, and others. In this topic, we will be focusing on Asian financial crisis that happened in Thailand. For information, there are several Southeast Asian countries, including Thailand, had the most splendid economic growth rates in the world. But the scenario changed in late 1997. The Asian country suffers by the financial crisis. It was started from Thailand and then was spread to the Southeast Asia. So, in this topic, we will discuss about what is the cause of the financial crisis, facts behind the crisis, impact to the countries, and the way how this financial crisis has been overcome.
The Asian financial crisis was a period of financial crisis that gripped much of East Asia and Southeast Asia beginning July 1997 and raised fear of the worldwide economic meltdown due to the financial contagion. The crisis started in Thailand, known in Thailand as Tom Yam Kung crisis, on 2 July 1997, with the financial collapse of Thai baht after Thailand government was forced to float the Thai baht due to the lack of foreign currency to support its currency to the US dollar currency. Capital flight ensued immediately, beginning an international chain reaction. At the same time, Thailand had acquired a burden foreign debt. Thailand involved in financial liberalization and bring negative consequences on the social welfare level of Thailand.
Now we move to the next part. And the next part that I will talk about is the causes of the Asian financial crisis in Thailand. The first causes. Before the crisis, there was a massive borrowing in dollar. Asian banks are owed more in dollar rather than what they have in their reserve. Most of the debt are in the short-term debt, and they use to finance their expenses. Thailand spent more than 1 billion for their residential and for their commercial development project. Next causes the weakness of the real estate sector, so the businesses are unable to pay high interest rate. Moreover, the weakening of the banking system make the sector become worse. This is because the banks are no longer to provide sufficient loans. By 1996, unsold properties in Bangkok, making their investor taking their money to run out of Thailand. This is because they are worried about the defaults. As of August 1997, there were 350,000 vacant housing units and many unfinished office and also empty hotels. Last causes. Individuals in Thailand are amassed debt. People earning around 350 a month are easy to get a credit card, and they will amassing huge debt because they are easy to buy expensive stuff. Interest rates in Thailand are quite high compared to United States. This is because the baht was stuck with the dollar. So, many of the Thai peoples are borrowed as many dollar as they could and exchanged them from baht and profited the difference. This is fine until the baht is collapsed.
Thailand's worst economic recession since World War II was triggered by the Asian financial crisis in 1997 until 1998. The financial industry was left with 31 billion in bad loans. Unemployment rose by 23% to 1.3 people. Markets also plummeted to their lowest levels in recent memory. And not only that, banks also fail to operate like they usually. Okay, then furthermore, the construction also ceased. Office buildings were vacant and hotels lack of visitors. But the worst scenario is the suicide cases. Mental wellness hotlines have been launched to overcome the situation. The economy is shrank by 10.5% in 1998. 46% of all loans were non-performing and unemployment increased to 85%, which is 2 million workers. In 1999, the economy shrank by 2% and unemployment jumped to 9.5%, which is 3 million workers. And lastly, large auctions were held for repossessed cars and house pick up after the foreclosure.
Therefore, for the solution of the Asian financial crisis, it is ultimately that it was solved by the International Monetary Fund (IMF), which provided the requisite loan to stabilize the struggling Asian economies. The organization pledged more than 1,010 billion in the short-term loan to Thailand at the end of the 1997 to help stabilize the economy. In exchange for the funding, the IMF required that countries adhere to strict conditions, which is including the higher taxation, lower government spending, privatization of the state-owned company, and the higher interest rate aimed at cooling overheated economy. Some of the other constraints made it impossible to countries to close illiquid financial institutions without thinking about losing their job. By 1999, many of the crisis-affected countries had shown signs of the recovery and restored growth in domestic product (GDP). Many countries saw their stock market and currency valuation decrease significantly from pre-1997 level, but the solution imposed the stage for the Asia to re-emerge as a strong investment destination.
So, in conclusion, by the early 2000s, free enterprise growth in Thailand had largely recovered from the Asian financial crisis. By 2002, the standard of living in Thailand had returned to the degree that existed before the financial crisis. The recovery reflected the advantage of reform initiative linked to the International Monetary Fund assistance. Direct investment from Japan, the United States, Singapore, and so on. During 2001 until 2004, the economy grew at the moderate rate, but the rate of growth was slower than in the booming in 1980 and the first half of the 1990s. A long-term shift from agriculture to manufacturing and service continue.